Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. This is Connie with Prairie Paper Crafts, coming back today to share with you how I put together the Ladybug envelope that I made. So I'll share with you this. These are part of an order that I was requested to make for someone, and was told that any sentiment was fine because they were not Mother's Day gifts. So just changed up the sentiments from the one I had posted on the internet. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here. This is made with the Crisscross card, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of background on how I create my card. I don't know, everybody might do it a little bit different. And I used to have even a file for this, and who knows, I tend to lose things easily, especially if they're stored on my computer. So anyway, I start out with 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. I'm just using the Georgia Pacific from Walmart. It will get quite heavy and thick by the time you're done. So, you know, if you've got 65-pound weight cardstock, use it because it will work fine. I cut it so you would have, your 8.5 by 11. Cut it at 4 1/4 down the middle. So you've got two pieces of what would be 4 1/4 by 11. Score each piece at 5.5 inches. So your long piece is up at the top, scored at 5.5, excuse me. So 5.5 here. So you have two pieces cardstock that are folded, ignore my X's and lines for now, that are cut at, or they're folded in half. Okay, so like you're making a portrait size card for a style card if you're doing, but anyway, you've got the two pieces. What I do, so I know what side to cut, put in my trimmer and stuff, what they're going to do is they're going to go together like this. So I want one cut, so I've got, a piece going here, and then this other piece will crisscross, and we want to cut this away. I've already cut this one, and I will show you how I do it in the trimmer for this one, and that's also why I put my X's on, so I know how to lay it in the trimmer, because I got tired of wasting how much cardstock, because I was forever doing this backwards. And if you're using double-sided paper or paper, it just, for me, it works. I can't stress enough that's how I do it. But you're going to line this point and this where the fold is, where you folded it. You're going to line that up in the tray of the cutter. So it's going to be at an angle. When I'm lining up that mark, and that's not right. So I have where my bold folder, or where my fold is here, my crease, is lined up with my cutting guide, and then the point over here is lined up. I find it best for my cutter if I start in the middle and then go one way and then come back the other. It just, my trimmer blade is bad, and my trimmer is very, very old, but I like it. And only thing is, I didn't know I could have a long time ago. I lost the gold. There's a very thin wire. It's it shows you where it cuts, and I don't know what I did to it, but I could have had that replaced, and I didn't know that at the time, so no big deal. Anyway, you now have the base of your crisscross card. So what I do, I start assembling this first. Good place to use your ATG if you have it. I, again, like my glue, because I gotta have that wiggle room. Just saying. I don't know what's wrong with me, but you could use both if you're doing something that you really need to have a strong bond and a little bit of wiggle room. Doing both will give you that. I like to line mine up, standing it up, put the edge of one card to the just before the score line because you need it to close. I did that just a little bit off. This is why I use glue, folks. Because you gotta have it to be able to fold, and I think I'm gonna end up I like to give it a nice sharp fold also, so I come back and recrease it. But anyway, so there is your project to start. And by the way, yeah, so you're going to have 4 1/4 this way for height and 5 1/2 in the center part. So then I take my next piece, which I'm doing mostly red and black. This is going to be cut at 5 3/8 wide, 4 1/8 high. Get that in there. My next piece I'm saving on paper because it doesn't show by the time you're done. I gotta hold this up so I can see. The lights are really bright. It's getting dark, so, but just center that in there. My next piece is red and white stripe, and it's 1/8 of an inch smaller to save paper. And because I need another part of this, you don't have to have it to the bottom. It's not going to show. And in fact, by the time we put the next piece in, hardly any of this is going to show. So I'm just sharing with you, if you don't have enough paper, don't sweat it, it'll work. Go ahead and use it. In fact, if you have just two side pieces, you know, like 1 inch or so wide, and you know, so as long as it'll match the crisscross, it's good, because we're putting another piece in to cover this up. My piece is right here. This is a part of an older circles die set from Stampin' Up. It's not the newer one. It is, this one's about 4 7/8 inch diameter. And then I have some unbranded circle dies. They're stitched. You probably can't see it with the writing on the print on the paper, but I just layered that on the back. Now I'm putting this, centering it in the middle, and about, so we say 2/3 of the way down, I'm just going to kind of, what I do is I put some glue here to hold it, just because I'm never sure exactly where I'm going to end up with glue on the back. I might not get it, you know, up as high so it'll hold it, it won't flop so bad. And then I'm trying to center it between the two flaps here, so, and get that print fairly straight. That paper was actually from an Echo Park pad, travel, or I think it's travel, I'm not sure. Would have never used it for this, but it works. So then I'm going to do my corners, or my triangles here. What I do, I'm trying to think how I did this. For my black, it's very easy because they're the same color, both sides, it doesn't matter. Trying to think how I did this, I can't remember, but I know I cut piece 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Laid it in my paper trimmer so I could get my two pieces. I don't know if it works to do them both cut these a while ago and I'm trying to think, because it doesn't work to put it, this will not, oh yeah, there you go. You can cut a piece 4 3/8, excuse me, 5 3/8 long, the length of this minus 1/8, 4 1/8 high, and then put in your paper trimmer from point to point and cut it. That made absolutely no sense, I'm sure. I'm not good at doing card folds to explain to you. I just go and find a video online that on YouTube that tells me how to make the card or the project, and then I decorate it the way I want. In fact, I am watching a series of videos from My Creative Spirit on a wonderful mini album, and it has inspired me to do a fall mini album. I am back on the Ladybug Designs team, and so I'm going to use a bunch of SVG files and some fall paper and make a fall scrapbook layout. Claire is using the Farmhouse Graphic 45, which is awesome. I love that paper. I guess being in a rural area doesn't help any, you know. But anyway, I am going to do that for fall, and someday I might do the Graphic 45 Farmhouse kit. We'll see. I better be quiet and get to work. My next piece, these do not work unless you have double-sided paper. These don't work to do to save the paper thing. Now, mine is short on one end. Again, I think I was short and I was trying to do this for another one, so I have to get a little bit creative here. But again, it's not going to show by the time it's all put together. So again, it's a nice way you can save a little paper and get more projects, which I have to do. And I don't know what I was dreaming about when I cut it in the first place, so it took me a little bit to get it. I think because I was trying to save paper, it took me a little bit more to get it straight and cut and all that jazz. So anyway, we'll get it to work. Still want all that extra glue. Okay. And this little piece here, there's a little gonna be a little sliver of green. It gets covered with the grass. So I'm trying to show you these things that if you think, oh, you know, you have to have it exact and perfect. A lot of times things are covered and you can get, you can make it work and it'll be perfectly fine. It's just, I want to make sure these are down really well. Okay, coming back in with both my art glitter glue and my beacon. I'm just going to run a bead of glue here and a bead of glue here. And I put a little bit of beacon here in the middle. It spreads a little bit. So when you shut it, and I use the bone folder, it just seems to kind of spread out a little bit, and well, I'll just hold well. I would recommend using a bone folder or something just to make sure this bottom is tight in there. You don't want stuff falling out the bottom, and it's fairly thick by the time you get done. So I'm gonna get I like to cap my glue so it doesn't evaporate So sorry. Next, we're just gonna put this on to eyeball for now, because I want to bring my flower in. And again, this was a set from Marjorie Ann Designs. It's the Ladybug Hugs file. I cannot hang on to anything today, my goodness. And I was trying to type at my job today, and oh no, I just about said the heck with it. I'm done for the day. I can't. People had to wait for me on the phone because I couldn't get my fingers to work. Oh, I was getting frustrated. I put mine at a little bit of an angle. It's not a big deal. And I have my grass. I put that through the, I think it's softly falling. I really like that because it's got smaller dots and they're not all in one spot. And then you can use the top where there's very few, or the bottom where it's much more concentrated. So yeah. And there you go. There my little black spot got covered up. That was showing. Next, I'm going to put my little bee on here. And I have to remember where not to put glue. I still put the craft foam on there just for stability, even though I know it's going to have spots. It's not going to get glued down, but it just seems to work best. And I have, before I put my sentiment on, I want to put my bow on. Again, I did my bow with the Bow It All. I like to do that. And this is the 3/8 inch black gingham, or 3/16, excuse me, 3/16 from Really Reasonable Ribbon. And then the burlap string, and then I just put a little pearl in the middle there. It's really a matter of breaking it down, the project, looking at it and figuring out, okay, what was used, and just, you know, what do I have in my stash? How can I make it? Thinking I have I guess I only put 2 loops on here. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. But anyway, I don't make my projects, I try to decorate them a lot, but I don't try to, I just try to break things down that I see that I am working on making. It's not so much a big deal. Again, for my other project, I have a couple little butterflies, and I will pop them up. I just put some bling on them. I only have limited colors of Nouveau drops yet. I just that and liquid pearls. Instead of bling, I would buy liquid pearls. I'm just, because it goes a lot further and I really like them. And you can also sprinkle them with glitter when they're wet. There's a lot of things you can do. So looking at my other one where I put it right there. Well, we better be careful. I gotta put this sentiment in there. I tend to forget things. Okay, yeah. Okay, you can still see it. These were, this was done on, I just used a stamp that I was given, and then they're the ovals, the petite oval, I think, from Spellbinders, the dies I used. And this is pretty even without any kind of a sentiment. You could just leave it plain. You don't have to get that carried away with things. But you know me. Okay, got it. One last thing to share with you. Well, two last things. This tag, this is a little bit different tag than the B one I did. It's just got the chopped off corners, and I was looking to see, I don't have the size on this one or the number written down. Again, you can use any tag, but it's cut at 2 3/8 wide and 3 3/4 tall. Again, I had my Cricut put in, it's just Ladybug Hugs and Butterfly Wishes, and I put a little bit of corner piece from the polka dots here. This ladybug, let's see if I can get that one. Oh, let's see, just looking here. Well, let's do this one first. I have this one down here. This ladybug here, the bear ladybug, is 2.409 wide and 3.84 high, 3.84. The other ladybug, I was just looking here. Okay, so the ladybug on the tag is 1.947 wide, 2.422 high. Keep in mind that's coming from the top of the antenna to the bottom. And then the tag, or excuse me, the bow used the same ribbon as here and the burlap string. And then this is Carbochon from Really Reasonable Ribbon. This red ribbon I had in my stash. And then I have the paper, the clothespin again, paper clip. Boy, I'm not with it. And then this is a cherry blossom in deep red, also from Really Reasonable Ribbon, just the mulberry flowers. Just kind of using what I have in my stash. So, and again, this would go in here, and then that would go if you wanted your seed packets in there. And then I just want to put a few Nouveau drops on the sentiment because I, you know, just have to add more. Just kind of want to see, make sure I get it. Let's see. And we will let that dry. And that is the finished project. Garbage out of the way. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. I'd love to see your designs. If you wish, you can post on my fan page on Facebook, Bray Paper Crafts. If you need information, just let me know. Otherwise, thank you all for joining me. Have an awesome day.